Good morning and welcome to the House of War. Today on Breaking Chains, as president and founder of Women at Risk International, I want to give you an update on the precious child Sweetie that we all love to hear about. But first, let's take a visual tour of Sweetie and her story.
I'm Rebecca McDonald, and I'm the president and founder of Women at Risk International. Years ago, two of my partners in India who rent rooms in a brothel that are meant for trafficked women. If a woman who's trafficked wants to get away from a customer who scares her, she can come to that room. And that's a form of outreach where we learn their story. There they learned that a 16 or 17-year-old trafficking victim had had a baby, and the baby was taken away from her by the madam. And kids in the red light district are always at risk, but for some reason this child became the focus of this madam's anger. The madam beat this child black and blue every time she cried. And she said she has to grow up to know violence because of what she's going to be sold for. This is the red cord that you'll see in the picture of Sweetie, of her tied to a pole. We whited out the background in the picture so that you don't see the gutter with the rats and the needles and the junk in it. I started going to that city every year, and I will forever. And I developed a relationship with the madam who beats her. Because I grew up on the Indian subcontinent, I know the culture and I know how to work that system, and I know how to create obligation. And so I did things for this woman, and I befriended her, and I begged her for the life of Sweetie. She told me one day, "Becky, I'm not the real owner. My boyfriend is the real owner." Oh, well, we knew him. He was a corrupt government official. He came to collect his trafficking dues each week. And so I said, all right, I want to talk to him. And I begged for this child. And he looked at me like, why would I give you my property? I can't kidnap her. That makes me a kidnapper. I can't pay for her. Trust me, I would if I could. That makes me a trafficker. I can't do a police raid because her owner is a government official and she will disappear, and that will blow all the other women and children that we've rescued from that place of horror. It's a very long story how Sweetie is where she is today. The good news is Sweetie is in a home, an American woman married to an Indian pastor who has taken 10 little babies into her home who have stories like Sweetie's. And she's a happy little girl right now, learning to write. She wrote me a whole sentence in English. And it just thrills me to see her in a happy place. But what I want people to know about Sweetie is she is, no matter how her story ends, she is an icon. She is a symbol of every man or woman who's ever been trafficked and sold against their will. And if you see a woman on the street corner standing there at 22 selling herself, remember, she was once a Sweetie, that nobody heard her cry. I don't think there is a child in the world that has been prayed for more than that baby. That lit a fire under Women at Risk because this was wrong and nobody could question it.
So what has been happening in the life of Sweetie? Well, you know, every year I visit her. We are in over 50 countries with over 200 programs, and yet this is one program that I visit every single year in order to be faithful to this little child and this little life. You saw in the video the cord, the actual cord that tied Sweetie to a pole once and held her captive. Her teenage mom, as you heard, was sold, and her daughter was going to be sold, but rescued, wonderfully rescued, thanks to the partners of Women at Risk and thanks to you, the War family. And you know, it's interesting to me that in the Bible, there's a story of another red cord that tied a harlot to the family of God and set her free. And the word there in that story is literally the word tikva, and that word means hope. So that red cord that tied her to the family of God and listed her in the Hall of Fame in Hebrews 11 is what we hope for our sweetie, that someday she too will be set free completely as she is right now. She's doing great in school, and she speaks English fluently, and she's doing well in her classes. And I want to just talk to you about some of the things related to Sweetie that have been fun and give you an update on that. You know, when we first started this, there was an outcry against a child tied to a pole and sold. And our U.S. Training Center, women here, rescued or at risk in the United States of America, made this lovely bracelet that we wear in remembrance of Sweetie, either as a bracelet with a heart there or as a necklace. And that was one of those mementos that became kind of important to the war world. But I want to talk to you about her. You know, years ago, I took a child psychologist with me on one of my trips, and she did a test of Sweetie and all her siblings. Her siblings, she's been adopted into a foster family, an American woman married to an Indian pastor who has taken all these children in, and she tested all 10 of the children and said to us, Sweetie is doing amazing. It makes no sense, humanly speaking. A child who's beaten black and blue every time she cried. When she came into the home, she had learned not to cry. She would open her mouth and no sound would come out. Now, if you're a mom and you've raised 4 normal kids, you know that a child, when they're in pain or when they're angry, they scream. But to have a child open their mouth and no sound come out is like a horror movie. And she would cry, but it was silent. And today, she has found her voice. Now, we celebrate the fact that for the moment, she seems to be doing well and not harmed by the pain and the suffering she went through. And of course, we know that when she reaches puberty, that could be a different story. But we also have some incredible news. If you will recall, when our partners found her and rescued her, they put the mother with our help into a training program. The biological mom, they spent all their life savings, found her, got her, she was almost dead, got her patched up, and put her in a vocational training program that we paid for. And today, her mom has a really good job sewing. That's the really good news. And a Christian family has come around that mother and encircled her. She's still very fragile and unable to raise Sweetie, but there is a grave concern. Every day that Sweetie is left alone in this precious home where she's surrounded by safety and loving and training and growing up and dancing and singing and with siblings is a good day. But every day is dangerous because the mother has the right. And the mother, while she was trafficked as a teen, may be worldly wise, but she is not internet wise. And somehow she was given a phone and she has been being wooed by a boyfriend. And she does not understand the dangers of the internet because she's not internet savvy. So your prayer for the life of Sweetie is so vital because it's going to be many, many days and years before we get her at age 7 to age 18 where we can get her in a college. That's my dream, and my commitment is just to be faithful to her. What God does with this precious life is totally up to Him. My calling and commitment is just to be committed and show up and be there for her and be a mommy to the mommyless. Lord only knows what will really happen in her life, but she represents for us an icon. She is a picture in our mind of every man, woman, or child who was harmed against their will in childhood and then grows up to want to dream and have hope. So when you see women out there, as you saw in the visual tour, who are standing on a street side, remember, they were once a sweetie, and we failed them. We did not see the silent scream and hear their cry for help. And so Sweetie represents more than just one child. No matter how her story ends, we are committed as an organization. The world may come to a screeching halt, but we are still fighting for those who need freedom, safety, and release from risk. And so our mission continues. And if you're interested, we have some product here that we want to show you, but we also have a 911 fund. And that 911 fund was developed particularly so that we could help children like Sweetie and the child we rescued that was sold at 1 month old. And we can help people in imminent danger. So let me talk to you for a minute about some of these fun products that come from the very land that Sweetie lives in, other than just the red cord necklace. We also have a bracelet here. The woman that helped us rescue, there were 2 women that helped us rescue Sweetie, and one of them, her name is Pinky, and you will be hearing more about her in a future Breaking Chains. But this bracelet here, this memory wire bracelet that's very popular because it's one size fits all, is made by women in a program where Pinky has, where she trains over 20 to 25 women a year. And today, over 128 women have jobs where they work from home. They sell their product to other women, woman to woman. They sell feminine hygiene products and jewelry and sewing. And then what they sell to us helps them educate their children as well. Also in the land of India, we have our remembrance line, which is one of our favorites. And we have infinity scarves, and then we have these beautiful scarves. My daughter sometimes uses it as a table runner. But every name on here represents a real life, the age they were rescued, and the country they're from. And this same place, this is a factory in India that hires all HIV positive and burn victims, and they do incredible work. So this is a great Father's Day gift. It has a leather strap and it's beautifully lined. And again, it's just a doll kit. And then we have these aprons. These are really my favorite because I want to buy these for my sons. You can buy them for women too, but they come apart. You can unsnap them so you can wash them. And they're made from heavy-duty chino fabric. This is another exciting product that comes from the same program where we hire the HIV and the burn victims, and it is a beautiful bag that has, again, the names of the rescued people, their ages, and the countries they're from, but it's beautifully done inside with the denim and the leather, high-quality leather, and the leather bags. I use this to put my notes in, and it's one of my favorite bags, and it represents so much of what we do, and it also prompts conversations. Then there's this fun little bag here. I never did a makeup bag before, but this one I like because it's plastic inside and out, and so if you spill, it doesn't matter. But we would just want to encourage you to look these up, and thank you for joining us today on Breaking Chains. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button on your YouTube, and share and comment below that you shared on Facebook to be entered to win the drawing of this beautiful memento of Sweetie the red cord. So we just want to thank you from our house to yours, and we want you to know that we're here for you during this time of isolation, and we want you to have fun looking at these different products and knowing you can make a difference. Also, we want to let you know, I referenced before, that we have a 911 fund. And that fund is the fund we use to answer our 911 phones here in this building. They come in locally, they come in from all over the world, and they come in from all over the United States. In fact, we have many calls that come in there, and that is what allows us, that fund, to do rescue of imminent danger. So whether it's Sweetie, whether it's the child that was rescued at 1 month old, sold at 2 weeks old for $200, It gives you the opportunity to make a difference, and it pays the phone bill in this building so that we can continue to do rescue and carry out our mission. Despite the fact that the world has stopped and come to a screeching halt, we are still fulfilling our mission here. So from our house to yours, from the house of war to your house, this means war.